Inspired action, what it actually is, and I'm going to illustrate this with a real life example of what happened to me just this past weekend. And I know you guys might be confused on how is it different from regular action that you take, and how is it linked to living in the flow state, just completely in bliss and flow and just letting things happen. Let the universe take care of it all. I'm going to illustrate to you right now, okay? So let's start with the story. This past weekend on Saturday, what happened was I was on my way downtown for errands. I didn't have any other plans later that evening except for a coffee with a friend, but otherwise my evening would have ended early, okay? And I kind of wanted something to do this weekend. Otherwise, it would have been a really boring weekend. But I was just like, okay, whatever happens, happens. Maybe something will come up. I was walking downtown. I get the urge to snap a picture of a nearby market, like this marketplace. I send it to a friend who lives in the area. Okay. I still had errands to run later that day. And he actually sent me back a text saying, "Hey, why don't you drop by and visit?" I don't know this friend very well. We'd hung out several times and met only like a couple months prior. But we were friendly, on good terms. I'd never been to their place before. This is not a regular thing that happens. So unexpectedly, this invite to visit, I was like, sure, maybe I'll stop by for maybe an hour, have coffee, something like that, because I had some other errands to run, and it would have been later in the evening. It was just completely unprompted. And get this, this is where it gets really, really crazy, okay? So I'm going about my business. I finish my errands. I'm on the way to his place, and I get the urge to go into a store and pick up a bottle of wine. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me how. I even asked him, like, hey, do you want me to bring you a coffee or a treat or something? He said, no, I'm fine. It was around dinner time already. I have no clue why. I just went into the store, grabbed a bottle of wine, and went up to visit him. Did not plan on it, right? I was like, maybe like first time going to his place, maybe I was just gonna, as a just, stopping by, give him something. I have no idea what was happening. That was inspired action, by the way. I walk in, his neighbor's over. They're already having wine. They decided on doing like a chill night in, a wine and pizza night. And obviously in my hand, I have the bottle of wine that I just got that made no sense for me to get for this type of visit. I had no idea he was going to have people over. And it ended up just being like four people. And we just ended up watching a movie. We hung out and I stayed till 1 a.m. So like it was a late night. So ended up I had plans, okay? That night I ended up having plans and it just all fit in so perfectly. But the craziest part of this is in those moments where I took that action to snap the picture, send it to my friend, no intention of like stopping by for a visit or any of that. That just came unprompted by someone that like I didn't even know that well at the time. Now we've gotten to know each other better, of course, after hanging out again. And then the wine thing, this really blew my mind because it just doesn't make sense to do. I had no intention of like it was supposed to be. I stopped by for like maybe an hour, maybe half an hour. I don't know. It was supposed to be like a quick visit on my way home. And it just turned into that. So that's just an example of how inspired action you get those urges. You don't even realize it's inspired until after the fact because the universe or your higher self, whatever it might be, will put it into place where it just arranges things in a way where the unfolding just seems so synchronistic and perfect. A lot of people will call this coincidence, okay? And I hesitate to use the word coincidence because I don't believe in coincidences. I believe in synchronicities. These are synchronicities, but these are not planned. I'm not out there looking for this. I don't usually snap a picture and send it to a friend. I don't usually do these things. I just felt the urge to do it. I don't randomly go into a store and get a bottle of wine, okay? If I'm going to visit some, like usually these are planned ahead of time. If it's a housewarming party or a birthday, yes, I will pick up a gift, right? But like, no, like for this type of visit, okay, maybe I grab a coffee, not a bottle of wine, especially if I'm just like planning on dropping by for a short visit. And it was like an impromptu, unplanned thing. There was no mention of wine. There's no mention of a pizza. None of that. I just walked in and it just ended up becoming like a hangout and it was great and it was so fun and these are sort of like the magical moments that happen in life when you are in the flow state. Okay, so circling back about inspired action and how you can implement this. Basically what it is that when we are manifesting, we are becoming the version of us that already has the thing we desire to have. And once that happens, once we are in that blissful state, not even blissful, just like the natural knowing state. Sometimes you can feel blissful, but other times it just, you feel normal, right? And that's kind of how I felt. I felt pleasantly good. It was a great day. I was walking downtown. It was a nice day out, but I didn't have any like attachment or resistance. I was just open to, hey, whatever flows in, I allow it to flow in. And then I get these urges and I act on those urges. That's inspired action. That's my intuition. That's my gut telling me, hey, go into the store. Hey, there's another story about this wine. I used to work at a restaurant and a manager actually recommended this wine, knowing my taste in wine, for me. And it was literally featured in the store. So as soon as I walk in, I literally spent less than 2 minutes in the store. I walk in, it was right there. I'm like, oh yeah, this is the perfect wine that I'm gonna bring. Normally when I go into a store, I am locked with indecisiveness and then I have to spend a lot of time trying to figure out what to get. No, that's how inspired it. And you know what the craziest thing too is, as I was going through this, every single action that I did, it felt, it just made sense to do in that moment. Like I felt not that I was like possessed or anything. It just felt like, hey, this makes sense to do. I'm just gonna do it. I do it. I don't think twice about it. I really don't think twice about it, right? And then the reason why I love this story so much is because in such a short time frame, it all made sense directly. And I think when you, okay, one of these things you can say, okay, yeah, like it's a coincidence, but two of these things that just fit way too perfectly, the wine especially, that just confirmed to me, like, first of all, it was completely unplanned, but the wine thing, and then I drop in and they were already having wine and doing a pizza night, and they weren't originally going to do that, right? They just decided on that, like that day too. It just all came together so perfectly. Also, I didn't know the neighbor. I didn't know, the other people there initially. So I met some new people that I've now made connections and contact with. But the whole point is, when you feel that instinct inside you to take a particular action, you just go and do it. And the world around you would just, it just makes sense to do. And that's what inspired action is. You're not forcing anything. You're not forcing anything in the 3D. And yes, you are still taking action in the 3D, but you're not forcing anything, and it just unfolds perfectly. Okay. So that's how I want you to be practicing inspired action or doing action of any sort. It is simply you knowing that, hey, this just makes sense naturally to do. I'm just going to follow through on it. Not thinking of whether I should do this or not do this. No, it just comes up. You get the urge and you just do it. And just make sure you're in a place where you feel like you already have a desire, or just in a pleasant feeling, just trusting the universe to bring you whatever it is. That magic will just kind of flow in. And it was a really, really, really amazing and incredible experience. I hope this motivates and inspires you as well. Okay. Remember, inspired action, that's going to lead to your manifestation.